Girl here. Dr. Dom is in the house. Listen, if you have ever wondered why you can't fully lay hold of your blessing and like what keeps happening that is just not coming, sometimes you need to take a step back and realize that's because you're trying to do something in your own strength and in your own timing. Listen to this. So I'm in my word this morning and I was studying Rachel and Jacob and Abraham, Isaac, and their life. And I noticed the very interesting similarity between all of their lives, almost like it was history repeating itself, something that we see happen in our lives all the time. So as I'm reading, I see that we see Abraham and his wife Sarah. And Sarah goes through a period of being barren. Even though God said multiple times that you're going to have a child, sweetheart, she decides to take the blessing that God had already told her was going to be hers. And also, she laughed in his face. That's crazy. But try to finagle it in her own way. And she gives her maidservant to Abraham. Better than me, woman. Could have never been me. He sleeps with her and has kids. And she feels as though, oh, this is how we're gonna have kids. And even though God said I would bear children, this is how we're gonna do it. And you see, because of that decision, might I say, she delayed her blessing because she didn't try, she did it. She took things into her own hands. But that it doesn't stop there. We then see later when Isaac is born, the child that God had promised them anyway. Isaac is born and he grows up, he gets married. And Isaac's wife, Rebecca, she does the same thing that her mother-in-law did. She goes and takes her maidservant because she was also struggling with barrenness. And she decides, okay, you go ahead and sleep with my maidservant, Isaac, and this is how, I'll conceive a child. And I don't know what's in the water that these women are so cool with that, but I also know different day, different age, different time. But once again, we see someone taking things into their own hands to make God's blessing and God's promises come into fruition because they think this is how it's going to happen. And then we see it again, a third generation. Now we three generations deep in this foolishness. And Jacob does the same thing with his wife. Now he went through some trauma with his wife. He worked the 7 years and then was given the sister of Rachel, which was Leah, and he didn't really like her, and she was tender-eyed. I don't know what the Bible actually means by that. Could mean that she was, hard on the eyes to look at. It could mean she had kind eyes. We don't know. But anyway, the point is, he receives Leah, and he's like, that's crazy. I'll work another 7 years for Rachel because she's obviously the bomb.com. Does 14 years total, gets Rachel. And Rachel is barren for some time. Not permanently, but she's barren for some time. And Leah is desperate for this man's love. And so she's just popping kids out left and right, trying to get this man to love her. And you see, that's another thing when we put people on a pedestal before God, is we start doing all types of craziness and compromising our health, our body, our mindsets just for the love and affection of someone else. That's a story for another day. Come back to Rachel. And she decides, okay, since I'm barren, I'm going to go ahead and have Jacob sleep with my maidservant. And she said, these children will be just as my own. Socially and politically, legally, they will be my own children. That's crazy too. But anyway, Jacob sleeps with the maidservant, has children, and maidservant's popping them out like candy, has more children. And this is the funny thing. She realizes she's still not fulfilled. She's still not whole. For a moment, she feels as though she's had the victory. But when you settle for cheap substitutes of your own doing, when you settle for less than what God had intended for you, it's never going to make you feel whole. And you're always going to have to go through way more dirt and foolishness trying to get it than if you had just waited in God's timing and for a word from God. If we already know that God is the one who opens and closes wounds, why are you trying to beat around the bush? And you know why? Because we want things so fast. We want things our way. And that's what happens when you are trying to pursue and lay hold of a blessing that God says told you it's not time for it yet. Or when you try to finagle your way around the necessary hurdles that God wants you to go through. Those hurdles aren't just to see how athletic you are. Let's see the spiritual Olympics. No, God is building something in you. He's working in your character. So if there's a time before you get to lay hold of that blessing, that promise that you're hoping for, whatever it is, it's a reason for that time. Yes, I know the cliche is time heals all wounds. Yes, and it's also about the work that we put in nurturing and keeping that wound clean. The same applies to your life. If you are just waiting for God's time, but you're not still, working on yourself, seeing what you can learn in this time and being curious, like, God, what do you want me to learn in this time? What character trait are you trying to build? Are you trying to build my patience? Because when I get to the blessing that I'm waiting for, I'm going to need some patience for them people that are going to be up in my face. Or maybe God is waiting for you to learn financial stewardship and to be more financial literate. So you just sitting, chilling and relaxing, like, Lord, give me this blessing. And you just chilling, not doing a thing, just working your 9 to 5, eat, sleep, drink, go out, party, repeat. And God's like, oh, we got to push it back further because you're not learning how to financially steward your current resources so that when he blesses you with more, when you get the inheritance, you don't squander it away. When you do not accept, the first thing is accepting God's timing, because sometimes you're not going to trust it, but you need to just accept it. You need to have a moment with yourself and say, all right, big boy, all right, big girl, this isn't how I would do it, but you know what? I accepted God. All right, this is what we're doing. All right, Lord, okay. But then the next part is working towards trusting his timing. You're not going to know until hindsight why certain timing happened or why even certain things didn't come into fruition. But when you trust and you accept what God has laid before you and you don't try to do it in your own strength and you don't try to do it with your own strategy and schemes, life works out so much better for you. Each of these women, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, took matters into their own hands because they wanted children so bad. And I get it. I don't get it. I get it. But they compromised themselves, people around them. That's a whole nother point because I was highly fumed. I had to sit with the Lord. I was like, Lord, I do not like that they are just giving maidservants out and telling them to have babies. Like, I wish we could hear the maidservant, in some of the stories we do, but I wish I got to hear more of the maidservants experience. Like, imagine being disliked, like in Abraham and Sarah's situation. Imagine being mistreated and poorly cared for and just forced to meet and serve the needs of these people, and you sacrificed your body through labor. Labor isn't fun, last time I checked. And the people that you did it for, they send you out on your way and send you into the wilderness. Or you get so afraid that you run away because you just can't handle the trauma, the psychological and emotional abuse anymore. Like, imagine that. So not only did these 3 women take things into their own hands and cause more confusion and delay their own blessings, they also destroyed a part of those women. Because we see in some of the maidservants that are talked about more that there was that grief that they had. Even though a promise was also given to them, there was still that initial grief of not being really chosen and not wanted. Or they had the grief of being hated and what Sarah's anger or envy kindled against her maidservant. Like, you mad at me, sis, and I ain't even do nothing. What is that? So when you think about when whatever it is that you're pursuing and you're about to make that painful decision, like, you know what, God, yeah, your time has taken too long. I'm gonna go ahead and do it my way. I want you to think about, how is it going to impact you? How is it going to compromise your character and or the blessing? And who else is going to be compromised in your decision? You are not here on this earth alone. I don't care how much of an introvert you are. I don't care how much you like to say to yourself. You have to deal and interact with people. Research has literally shown you will die without human contact. And people who don't have human contact typically have worse mental health or more intense mental health issues, such as depression, such as anxiety, such as insecurities. You are going to have to deal with people, baby. And there are going to be some people that you may not like, you may not care about, but there are going to be some people that you love and you do care about. There are going to be some people that you don't want to hurt. And I need you to remember that when you're about to make a decision, to take something that God has ordained and put it into your own hands and your own strength and in your own timing. Baby, it's a cop-out and it's a counterfeit. It's never going to be as good as the God thing, as the God ordained and timed blessing that he has for you. I know it sucks waiting. Shawty, I know. Trust me. I know. But it's not worth it. The price you will pay is not worth it. I ask my clients all the time when they are stuck between tough decisions, whether it's trying to make a decision about setting a boundary with a loved one, or whether or not to go to a particular event because there's social anxiety. I ask them, what is it going to cost you to do this thing? And what is it going to cost you to not do it? And then you weigh the options, because only you know what weighs more. What is it going to cost you to do it? And then what is it going to cost you to not do it? Because there's both sides of everything. You don't have one side of anything. Even blessings come with a burden. You get more money, you got more responsibility. Yeah, got more taxes, shawty. You get a bigger house, you got more rooms to clean. You get a bigger family, you got more mouths to feed. Everything comes with a second side. You don't see a one-sided penny. You don't see a one-sided piece of paper. You don't see a one-sided side of your hand. Everything comes with a second side. The blessing and the burden. Now, you make those burdens a lot worse when you decide to jumpstart your blessing, when you decide to try to work around the timeline that God has for you. Don't despise the time frame. God has it there for a reason. Study yourself. See what you can learn in that time. While you're waiting, study. Build yourself up. You can always make yourself better. You can always improve. You can always learn more about yourself. So do that. There's so much about yourself that you probably don't even know, because we go every single day on just autopilot. Slow down and start studying yourself. You'll start noticing the things that you like and the things that you don't like. You'll start noticing that you have a temper issue. You'll start noticing that you're very passionate about, I don't know, art, whatever it might be. But if you don't slow down enough in your journey and your process to learn yourself and to study what God is showing you in that time, you are never going to be ready for the blessing he has for you. So slow down. Learn to love, learn to accept, even if you don't love it. Learn to accept the timing that God has given you and value it. There's a gift in the timing. And challenge yourself to start trusting God's timing. Working on yourself and trusting that it's all going to pay off. His word already says it. that the work and the endeavors do pay off. Just accept it. Trust it. That is what I have for you guys today. All right. I hope that this encourages you, maybe gives you more insight into why you are struggling with your waiting season, or why you seem to keep getting so close to the blessing, but it's not there yet. If you are, maybe you are in the situation of Sarah, or Rebecca, or Rachel, and you are wanting a child, and you got the husband, you prayed for the husband and God brought him, and now you're like, oh Lord. Or you prayed for the wife and you're like, oh Lord, why? Listen, trust his timing. Trust his timing. Now, I can't say, yes, you're going to have a child, but I can say that God is faithful, and that God already knows the beginning from the end. Trust him and enjoy it in the meantime. Celebrate it in the meantime, baby. You're going to be all right. All right? I love you. I know that you're going to do amazing things. I know that you are going to win. I know that what God has for you is so amazing. It's bigger and better than you ever would have imagined. And you may not like the timing that it comes in, but I promise you, if you just devote yourself to focusing on God and letting him work on you while you're working on whatever it is that he's assigned to you, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be better than I, and it's gonna be good. I don't know if y'all know that song. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Whatever's in store for me, it's gonna be nice. It may be crazy right now, but that's when you shine. I can't stop smiling, knowing it's gonna be nice. I don't have the right to give up. I don't have the right to give in. You always been there for me. You are my closest friend. Listen, y'all don't know nothing about that, because I feel like majority of my viewers are younger, so they have no reference to that song. But that used to be the song. If you know that song, go ahead and drop in the comments and say the next line. But anyway, remember, I gotta get in this house. Remember, faith helps. You're gonna win. You're gonna be all right. Stop stressing out. All right? Faith helps. Peace.